Is there such a thing as reverse power creeping? So that's a rhetorical question. Is anti-power creep, reverse power creeping a thing? Because this shotgun, guys, the Popshot, is definitely a weird one. We're going to be taking a look at the Popshot, should you level it up, how to level it up, and everything in between like we normally do. But real quick, my basic opinion on this gun is it's decent. In fact, it does some things that other shotguns do, but I'm gonna tell you right now, it's basically a reskin. So if you can't beat that challenge, I can maybe help you with that as well. We'll talk about that later on in the video. And you really want this gun, there is a weapon that's freely available right now that is basically the same thing. As I said in my rocket launcher video, Santa's Little Helper, I really want them to include unique guns instead of guns that are just quote unquote good. But with all that out of the way, let's get down into the Popshot and see how good it actually is. Does it hold up in the game in the current meta? We'll find out. So sadly, the Popshot is basically a reskin of the Stampede. So once again, if you cannot get this thing and you really want to try it out, pick up a Stampede. It's basically the same weapon. Another issue with the Popshot is its rolls, the recombobulating as it were, are weird, man. They are so weird. I don't remember a weapon that you can roll 3 crit chances on. Maybe I'm incorrect. I usually am about that because there's so many weapons in this game, and I'm sure somebody will point me out if I am incorrect. But rolling 3 crit chances on a gun is just odd. You will not do that. Do not do that. That is not a good thing. Crit chance has a diminishing return, and anything over 1 fully perked up roll will give you less and less percentage of crit chance as you go up. So then how should you level up this weapon? Well, I'm going to put it on the screen right now of the way you should. The first roll should 100% be crit damage every single time. The second roll, you're going to want base damage. And then in the third slot, you can do any element you want. I recommend energy like usual. Magazine side is what you're going to keep in the fourth one. And lastly, you're going to take that 40 impact out and put it as your crit rating. This gun's perks are weird. They are, I guess the key word here is well-rounded. It does a decent amount of damage. It has crit rating. It has mag size. It does everything. But that segues nicely into the 6th perk, which is probably the weirdest decision Epic's made for a weapon in a long time. In fact, the last couple of weapons we've gotten had pretty good or pretty unique, at least 6 perks. This one is odd. Now, the range on this weapon is only 2048, not the longest range, but granted, it's a shotgun. I believe the longest range shotgun goes to the Deconstructor, I think. Don't quote me on that. Getting 5 headshots in a row increases range damage by 30% for 10 seconds. Now, I don't know about you guys, but getting headshots with a shotgun isn't always the easiest thing. If you're playing Raider, you're going into the fray anyway and trying to just kill things as fast as you can, because a Raider does have a lot of DPS. And I normally, I mean, of course, I'm always aiming for the head, but I normally don't care if my bullets hit the head or not while I'm using a shotgun. Now, that 6th perk, again, the tooltip is misleading. It does say 5 headshots, but when using shotguns, that means pellets. So as long as 5 pellets, and this weapon shoots 9, as long as 5 pellets hit, you will get that buff. So it's not as bad as you would think. Being a single shot, single loading weapon, it's not as bad as you would think, but still the perks are weird, but it does have a bonus to it, and we'll get into that right now. The Popshot is basically a reskin. I hate to break it to you guys, but it basically is. There's nothing really unique about it. It is very similar to 2 or 3 other shotguns, that being the Stampede, which is the base model, the Huskbuster, which is another reskin, and lastly, the Ground Pounder. And out of these 3 other shotguns, I gotta give it to the Ground Pounder. It seems to have a little bit more range. It has a faster fire rate, and the base damage is just a little lower. But speaking of that base damage, this is where the Popshot Popshot is interesting and might want to level it up, maybe. I'm not going to, personally, just because I prefer and have other weapons that are basically the same. But the Popshot's base damage is pretty high for considering it's not leveled up. Even though all the guns that I'm comparing on this screen are 130, the Popshot hangs in there regardless, and none of those perks are actually leveled up. So that means if you were to perk it up, and especially you put that base damage roll on there, it's going to hit hard. It's not going to be a bad shotgun by any means. Just like I said, I have multiple ones of the exact same kind already, so I don't really need to level it up. I wish it did. I wish I could bring you something unique and be like, oh look, this is broken, or oh look, this is, you know, different, but it isn't. So if you have a Stampede, if you have a Huskbuster, or if you have a Ground Pounder, I would definitely hard pass on this weapon. It could be fun once you level it up and perk it up, but it's probably just kind of a waste. Let's show some footage and talk about how the gun actually performs. Has your mom ever given you an orange and then handed you another orange and then one more orange and she said, compare all three of these? And you can't because they are the same exact thing. That's basically what's happening here. The Popshot is the same gun as the Huskbuster or the Ground Pounder. If they aren't the same, they are so similar that you cannot tell the difference between shooting them. And I found that to be the issue while recording this video. I wanted to break down these three weapons and tell you which one might be the best, but they are just so similar that I can't do it. In fact, I couldn't even tell what gun I was shooting half of the time, and had to pay attention and realize and then switch back to the Popshot because I was using the wrong gun for this review. Now, with that being said, the Popshot isn't a terrible gun, it's not. The main issue is the current state of the game, where shotguns always aren't the best, and you have guns like the Bundle that one-shot everything. So having a ton of DPS that can happen really quick is nice, but we just did a video where a rocket launcher hit for 2.5 million. So the game just isn't hard enough as it is currently to have these kind of super DPS, super damaging weapons. And comparing them is almost impossible. I checked the bullet spread, it's almost exactly the same. I think the Ground Pounder gets one extra pellet at 10 and the other two are at 9. But is that really going to add up? Is that really going to make a difference? If you're doing 350,000 damage per second, will an extra 20,000 really matter? No, because anything was going to be dead anyway once you finish your clip. The gun is decent, and like I said, the main thing to take into account here is that this one is not leveled up. It's base rolls, it's level 130, doing level 118 missions, and it's doing well. It's holding its own with the fully leveled other shotguns that are basically the same. So if you do not have a shotgun that you like, if you want a full auto shotgun that can really destroy things and put out a lot of DPS, the Popshot isn't bad. It's just more of the same, which is a bit of an issue in the game currently. Every single day, every single week, they put out something new, but that new thing, 9 times out of 10, is very similar to something else. And I believe somebody in my comments section said it the best yesterday. So basically, it's a good gun that I'll level up, use a few times, and never use again. And that sadly is the truth with a lot of things about this, but I mean, the gun does do damage. I wouldn't level it up if you have one of the previously mentioned weapons, but if you don't, you might want to think about it. So the last thing I just want to cover is I played a couple of games on an Outlander with, in support, I had a Raider, so I did have the shotgun bonus damage. Now remember, this footage, this Popshot is not fully leveled up, and it still hangs in there. But with that being said, it's not the best. In fact, I went up to a smasher and I got pushed off the side of the map because it just didn't kill him fast enough. But remember that it's not leveled up, so I don't know. Take what you want from that. But it's just so similar to the other guns that I can't fully recommend leveling it up, especially if you have a Huskbuster or a Ground Pounder. They are super similar, and my favorite one out of the 4 is the Ground Pounder. It's probably one of the better shotguns in the game, and if you have one, you don't need the Popshot. But if you don't, maybe the Popshot is for you. Maybe I'm going a little too harsh on this video, but it is what it is. It's just a regular shotgun that's basically a reskin of the Stampede. Now, tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. On my last video, I said that the new Frostnite weekly event is too hard, and I really stand by that. If you are trying to pug that event with just randoms, there's no way you are beating it. It's not happening. If you're playing at the appropriate level, granted, you can always go down a level, you can't do it. So do you guys even have the Popshot? Is it worth the grind? No. If Epic Games knew what they were doing and made this event, this weekly event, so difficult, you would think the weapon you receive is worth it. And the Popshot, sadly, just isn't. That's really it, guys. That's all I have about this brand new shotgun. You might want to level it up if you're missing some things, but I would pass on this one. If you guys need help with the Frostnite event, I will do my best to help you with it. I'll do it by teams, and we'll always have somebody who's a little lower to get in there if you don't have a lot of, people on your friends list. If you guys want to support me or this channel, please use creator code TIKTAK00 for any of your purchases on the Epic Games Store. And lastly, if you want to check all of this stuff out live on stream, I stream almost every single day at twitch.tv/roundedtiktak. We hope to see you there. Thank you guys so much. Until the next one, TIKTAK out.